This episode gave us our first look at our main protagonist after he lost to fusions. Did he get all sad and depressed and moped around the entire episode? No. Instead, he modified his D-Will to be able to fly and crashed into Yuuou's base of operations, just to ask him a simple question. Yuuga, you are brilliant. Hello everyone and welcome to Dueling with Downton, and today let's talk all things episode 60 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's anime series. An episode with a lot of lore about the Sevens Road archetype, plus we got the feeling of nostalgia as Swirly used Yugi's deck, showcasing cards like the Feral Imp, Dark Magician Girl, and a few others. So then let's start off with the duel itself. Seeing Yugi's cards return within Sevens was really cool and gave us that nostalgic feeling. And with the duel being played in the library of all places, the setting was awesome. I love seeing the duel play out on playmats without the holograms and the dual disc projections. This gave me the vibe of playing with my friends / family in real life. It was simple, wholesome, yet very effective. And I wish we saw more of this throughout the other Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, because let's be honest, we all like it when it's a bit more sort of watered down, chilled and relaxed. It just gave a wholesome feeling. Personally though, I hate the fact that Swirly won this duel, as he didn't need the win for his character. But saying that, the character did slightly benefit from the win in terms of making him more important to the plot, giving Yuuga the book and managing to allow Yuuga to have an idea as for a way to move forward. So in that respect, Swirly did a good job. Now, I was going to call Swirly out for being a cheater. However, it turns out that the Rush Duel variation of Dark Magician Girl has a different effect than her Master Duel counterpart. Instead of being able to only add 300 attack points like with the Master Duel Dark Magician Girl, in Rush Duels, the Dark Magician Girl can add on 500 attack points for every Dark Magician in the graveyard. Now I thought it was rather convenient that we got to see Dark Magician Girl in the same episode that the Rush Dueling Switch game protagonist made a cameo in. After all, Dark Magician Girl is also a promotional card linked to the Switch game that is releasing soon. So from that aspect, it felt like the duel was a bit of a promotional material for the game. Nevertheless though, it was still really cool to see all of those nostalgic cards return. But all in all, I still don't like Swirly's character. And I thought, although Mimi was dueling for a selfish reason, her having a win here would have made her character a bit more important and relevant. Plus, she could have always had a change of heart after reading the content of the book, realizing that likely nobody at Goha would take her seriously and just give the book to our main heroes anyway. This would have been a great moment for Mimi because it would have aligned her with our main heroes, while at the same time kind of keeping to her goals of wanting to climb the corporate ladder. Of course, her plan was flawed from the start because the context of this book would have been of no interest to anyone at Goha. So you can see where the balance could have been made, the switch could have been done. But as a side note, Mimi in glasses looks absolutely fantastic, so I'm not going to take that away from her character. Moving along now to the book itself, this was great, as it gave us a lot of lore about the Sevens Road monsters. We currently have 5 Sevens Road monsters within the anime at the moment. So could it be that once Yuuga gets the remaining Sevens Road monsters, we could see something truly amazing happen? Like maybe the deck would work at its full potential. We could even get maybe a summoning mechanic based around Sevens Road, kind of the archetype. Or we could get a certain monster that only comes into existence once all the Sevens Road monsters are together / combined, if that makes sense. And that ending story with the original user of the power of Sevens standing with his hair on fire has to be a reference to Sevens Road Magician, as his hair is flared up in flames and it looks like he's had a power boost. And of course we have Sevens Road Magicians in where Sevens Road gets magical powers from the different attribute monsters within his graveyard. But what's his original user standing around? The original user is standing around the dead bodies of its allies, similarly to how Sevens Road uses its ability from monsters in the graveyard. It was said that Otis created the archetype and was possibly inspired to do so from reading this book. Was the line about on a night? Hold on. It was said that Otis created this archetype and was possibly inspired to do so after reading this book. Was that line about once on a night of a large and hardly recognizable moon appears, a man will carve open an unknown path and become the king of duels, a guiding beacon for the world. Is this man referencing Yuuga? Is Otis making the man who is going to appear within the story Yuuga? Is this what's going to happen? After all, we've seen time and time again Otis being this guide / manipulator of Yuuga, and for a certain reason that we do not know of as of yet. I would have a guess to say that the contents of those missing pages have something to do with Otis. Did Otis find something in those missing pages that struck fear into his heart? The tragedy that happens within those missing pages, could that come into fruition in the real world? And in order to avoid that disaster, Otis is using Yuuga as the bearer of Seven's Road Magician as the catalyst to fight off what tragedy is awaiting them. But he ripped out those pages in the book because in order to avoid the tragedy, no one can know what's coming. I don't know. Those are just some crazy theories / ideas I had while watching the episode. If you have any thoughts to share, leave them in the comment section down below. It's a very interesting topic and I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Now then, let's talk about Yuuou. This character is certainly living up to the status of a great villain, seeing how psychotic he was acting throughout this entire episode. Especially when talking to Yuuga, telling him, I know how you must feel. Your maximum got utterly crushed and your rush robot is practically in shambles. Your heart must be torn to ribbons, and despite desperately trying to gather information on fusions, you can't find anything. Now he says this while using a sinister tone in his voice and laughing maniacally. This was awesome. If Yuuou wasn't a great antagonist before this episode helps boost him as a credible and awesome antagonist. Plus we got that shocking faced reaction from Yuuou once he saw Yuuga's reaction, which was laughter and smiles and excitement, because Rush Duels now has more potential to be awakened and to be released thanks to fusions coming into the game. However, gaining this win over Yuuga, thanks to having fusions, has given Yuuou a bit of a confidence boost. Actually, it's given him a massive one, and has made him a bit overconfident and arrogant. He believes that with this card, he can't lose to anyone. This then comes after an interesting exchange of words with Yuden, in where Yuden understands that in Yuou's eyes, Yuuou isn't considering the other siblings as his equal. Yuuou believes himself to be at the top of everything within the world. It's not them, the siblings, at the top, but in Yuou's mind, it's him at the top. This was interesting, as we got to see Yuden's reaction. It wasn't hostile or sadness or confusion at this revelation. In fact, he looked happy for his sibling, but not evil happy. So it's still kind of confusing as to what side Yuden is going to be on in terms of good or evil. Honestly though, I can't wait to see what happens to Yuuou once he loses fusions, or when he sees someone else using it, because it wouldn't be something unique and powerful to him if someone else was using fusions against him. Yuuou said something interesting within this episode in regards to fusions. It turns out the fusions came from space. Question mark? Because the card that Yuuou has been using, fusions, came from the space debris that attacked their base / facilities when they were up in space. So yeah, interesting. And if that is the case, could it be the same space debris that could bring Kaizo back down to Earth? Could Kaizo get hit by the same debris that creates fusion cards, and thus giving Yuuga a fusion in the future? On that note though, wasn't it a bit over the top for Yuuou to try and literally kill Yuuga with the Iron Maiden that sends itself into space when someone is trapped inside of it? Like, that's a horrible way to go. Being trapped and suffocating with a lack of oxygen, just in there in general, is bad enough. But getting sent up to space, that's overkill. Now then, just when all hope seemed lost, our heroes were in a tight bind, being attacked by dolls and the Iron Maiden. Who appears to fight off this army? Well, it was Tiger. Seeing Tiger in action, having an explosive entrance was great, and a real surprise. So I'm glad they handled that correctly. And you know what? Tiger's a badass, so why don't we see more scenes like this where she just goes up and literally beats the bad guys. Not in duels, but physically. Finally though, let's talk about Yooka. This girl is appearing in episode 61 to face off against Roa, and I could not be happier to see this duel happen. This should be amazing. However, that being said, Yooka doesn't seem very evil. She's shown within this episode to still be mingling with Yuuou and acting on friendly terms with him. I get that they're siblings, so they're brother and sister, so even if, like, Yuuou isn't Goha present anymore, then they should still be friendly towards each other. This makes sense because we see Yuuou and Yuden acting friendly because they're family, and you know what? Nothing is stronger than family. Plus, we get to see how much Yooka loves ramen. That scene was goofy, wholesome, and adorable, so I'm glad they added that in. And it shows that in the episode, we get more interest towards Roman's character from Yuuka's perspective, as Yuuka also enjoys Roman's curry that she left behind on the Goha ship. So, I could actually see a situation where after the events of episode 61, Yuuka could switch sides to the side of good, helping our heroes against her evil, psychotic brother, Yuuou. Overall, I thought this was a great episode, and next week should also be fantastic. Hopefully we learn more about the holders of Sevens as we move forward with the plot, and Yuuka's plan, what on earth could that be? Could it be something that also adds more lore to Rook's character, as Yuuga gives him a nod of understanding / approval? Interesting times are ahead in Sevens, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. But that's all I've got to be said in this review. If you have anything to add, of course, let me know in the comments down below. I do hope you've enjoyed my thoughts and opinions here. Hit like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff if you did, and I'll be seeing you next time. Have a great day, alligator, matane, goodbye.